Hello, thank you for coming to my video. If you would like to help my channel grow, please like and subscribe, and please click on this little bell icon so you never miss a future video. Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of my Let's Play the Halo series. This time we are exploring Halo 3. Of course, this was the first Halo to appear on the then modern generation of consoles, the Xbox 360. So, a lot of hype for the game, a lot of people excited for it. I was working at Game Crazy at the time, before they went out of business. They were a competitor to GameStop. So, yeah, that launch was a lot of fun. Actually, it wasn't too bad. It was super busy, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We had a Halo 2 tournament as well and whatnot. So we had fun. I didn't work that night, but I did work the next morning. You know, because we had the midnight release, and then we had the early morning stuff. So yeah, right off the bat, I'm gonna go off with one of my complaints that I always had with the story in the game. This cutscene right here, it's like, did Master Chief fall off of a ship from outer space and land in a forest and survive, or what was the deal with that? And I think they explain that in detail in like one of the comics or something like that, but it kind of gives the impression that he fell from outer space, and it's like, okay, here's a Spartan that can get shot in the head and with a sniper rifle and die or things like that, but he can fall from outer space and survive. That, I don't know, that kind of it rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, but it is what it is. That's pretty much my only complaint with the campaign in this game. The campaign in this is actually pretty good. I far more enjoyed it than the Halo 2 campaign. Mainly because I just found it to be a lot more fun. You know, with the level design layouts. I mean, the Flood was still... Flood still came a little early, but they weren't as prominent early on. It was like, you know, you're fighting the Flood, and then all of a sudden the Flood go away. Then you're back to fighting the Covenant again, and then the Flood make an appearance later on. But the layout of the levels, you know, those big environments like the assault on the control room stage on Halo 1, you know, it had lots of that. I mean, not only did it have lots of that, but there were stages where you would drive a tank, your Marines would drive a couple vehicles, Warthogs, whatnot. You'd fight a Scarab. You would fight 2 Scarabs. There'd be 2 tanks, 3 Warthogs, some flying vehicles, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, the campaign in this was definitely a lot more fun. So of course our first exposure to Halo 3 was the Halo 3 beta that came out. And for those who ever played Crackdown, the first Crackdown game, the Halo 3 beta was part of that. Oh, here's the introduction of the Arbiter in Halo 3, where these guys finally team up. Arbiter, of course, voiced by Keith David. We must go. The brutes have our scent. But yeah, a lot of people ended up buying Crackdown just to play the Halo 3 beta. I was one of them. When I first played the Halo 3 beta, you know, I knew the game was beta. I knew it wasn't a representation of the final product. I was immediately impressed, because you're going from the graphics from Halo 2 to Halo 3, and console Halo 2 to Halo 3, of course. It was really impressive. I mean, the textures were great, the lighting was great, the details were great. color environment was great. It was basically just like a souped up version of Halo 2. But as you played the game more, they brought back like the assault rifle here, so it kind of had a little bit of a Halo 1 vibe. Has this pistol right here, which I don't know if this pistol was actually in the beta or not, but so you had that. You had the battle rifle from Halo 2. A lot of the textures were reflective. You had the snow, like if you throw a grenade on the snow, it wouldn't bounce, it would just kind of stick to it, so the physics seemed a little more realistic. Of course, the game's been out for about 11 years now, so of course the graphics and engine and whatnot is dated, but a lot of it still holds up. I mean, a lot of the games that came out during the 360, PlayStation 3 era, I mean, that's when your modern polygon gaming did not look dated. You know, you look at like Super Nintendo Sprite games, you know, those games still kind of hold up to today, where PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 games, they don't really hold up very well. So of course, you know, the brutes are the main bad guys. And the elites, just about all the elites are good guys. And of course, you got your grunts here. But yeah, back to the beta. I mean, the beta only had 3 maps. But it definitely gave a good impression of what the final game was going to be like. So I mean, I'm playing the Halo 3 beta, and my immediate thoughts were like, wow, this might be the best game ever. And that's when it came out, which of course I'm going to get to how I felt about the final version in terms of the multiplayer. But when it did come out, of course I was playing the Halo 2 on Windows Vista at the time. Oh, and one more thing, it had to reload your weapon, they made it so you had to press the right bumper button to reload your guns. And there was no way to change that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's just in the beta. In the final version, maybe they won't have that. So when I bought the final version, that was the first thing I looked for, because, you know, I played Halo 1 and Halo 2, and I was so used to reload a weapon, you know, you press the X button on the Xbox controller, and they changed it to the right bumper. So I would constantly be hitting the wrong button to reload. And I was like, why would they do this? Why would they not put in a way to change it back? And they had it so, like, if you were dual wielding, you hit the left bumper to reload your left weapon, the right bumper to reload the right weapon, which, you know, was kind of cool to do that. But at the same time, if that wasn't something that you really liked, which of course they eventually went back, but it was just a stupid way to not put that in the options. To like, oh, people that prefer this way, let's change the controls so you can, you know, play the old way, which they did in Master Chief Collection. It was one of the things I really loved about Master Chief Collection, is there's so many ways to set up your controls, and for all the Halos, not just Halo 3. And a lot of that, I think, was because Gears of War had come out by that time. Gears of War, before Halo 3, was the prominent Xbox Live game. It had beat out Halo 2, and Halo 2 was still number 2, and it was still had a lot of people playing it. But like, a lot of people look at 343 Industries today, and they kind of look at Halo 5 and Halo 4 and how they kind of copied current formulas in gaming at the time. But I think Bungie is just as guilty of that. Maybe not as much, but pretty close. Because, you know, you look at, you know, Halo 3 having to reload with the bumper button, and, you know, so they copied Gears of War. And of course, I think they also did that with Halo Reach in terms of copying abilities from other games, which I'm going to get to that in the Halo Reach video. I don't want to get on that too much, but I think Halo 3 is kind of where that started a little bit. But Halo 3 definitely had a lot of hype behind it. I mean, we had like 500 pre-orders in just my small town alone at our one location. And we only had one Game Crazy in our town. We didn't have a GameStop in our town. GameStop didn't appear in my hometown. Oh yeah, so another thing, like the last video, I mentioned that I moved to a location with high-speed internet, which by this time when Halo 3 came out, I actually moved back to my hometown, which by that time had high-speed internet, so I wasn't stuck with dial-up anymore. But yeah, I mean, in Halo 3 we had a lot of pre-orders, midnight release, all that kind of stuff. No GameStop, but we still pre-ordered, you know, still had 500 pre-orders of the game. But I bought the game right when it was out, but I had to work that morning, so I wasn't able to play it until I got home later that day, which was fine. You know, I got to talk to people about how much they love the game and whatnot. But I played one of our preview copies during my lunch break, and we had a 360 set up to a 720p TV, because 1080p wasn't really the standard yet, even though I had a 1080p TV at home. It was kind of like 4K is now. But actually, it was more like how 4K was a year or two ago. But I played the campaign a little bit, just kind of get a taste of the campaign. And one of the things I noticed right away, especially since I was doing a lot of PC gaming at the time, was, first off, the game wasn't a 60 FPS game, which, you know, with Microsoft and Bungie boasting the power of the 360 about how powerful and amazing this is, it's like, okay, well, it doesn't support 60 FPS like the PC version of Halo 1, Halo 2 does. Well, does it support 1080p? You know, because, you know, obviously the beta didn't because it's beta, but I need to switch out this weapon here. But did it at least support 1080p? And then I'm playing on this 720p TV, and because I was so sensitive to like resolution stuff at the time, I'm watching, I'm concentrating the game closely, and I'm realizing that the pixels of the game don't really line up to the native resolution of the TV. And I had to look like really, really close, because obviously the console was outputting 720p. And then a couple, I don't remember if it was a couple days later or a couple weeks later, but it came out in an article, and you can still kind of find the article online if you do a Google search for it, that Halo 3 actually runs at a native 660p resolution, not 720p. So it actually runs less than 720p. And that was kind of a letdown, you know, because here I am playing games on PC, but, you know, like Halo 2 specifically, and I'm excited for Halo 3. And the PC version of Halo 2, the previous game, kind of set my expectations for the graphics up so high that Halo 3 kind of disappointed a little bit. But, I mean, the textures and the art style were still really, really good. But that was kind of like my immediate impression. You know, because, again, Halo 3 was really, really hyped. And I had gotten a taste of the beta, so I really enjoyed the beta. But, you know, as I got home, I played through the campaign a couple days, within the next couple of days, and I really enjoyed just the campaign alone. The gameplay, the layout, all that kind of stuff. The vehicles. So even though the game didn't run at a full HD resolution, the campaign was still a lot more fun than the previous game. Still wasn't as good as the first Halo campaign, but it was still a great game. So a couple of abilities that they added to Halo 3 when they were trying to find new things to add. One is they had the equipment. You had like the bubble shield that you saw earlier and trip mines and things like that. And then of course that was tied to the X button, which, you know, that was kind of their excuse for not having the X button reload your weapons. Let's see if I can grab a brute weapon right here. So I want to talk about that as well. But yeah, like you would hit the X button to throw your bubble shield or throw like your health regen or whatnot. But another thing they tried to incorporate to make the game kind of feel fresh is these brute weapons here. You had like this brute submachine gun. You had the brute launcher, which was in Halo 2, but that was kind of like the only Halo 2. That was kind of the only brute weapon in Halo 2. Then you had the gravity hammer, which of course the chieftain used. So they didn't. I didn't think they added, with the exception of the gravity hammer, of course. I didn't think they added a lot to the Halo 2 arsenal. I mean, their weapons are okay, but I don't know. It wasn't like, oh wow, here's this like cool, great weapon. Oh, Arbiter's stuck. Okay, there we go. He's out of there. So if I remember correctly, I think this game supported either 2-player or 4-player online co-op. No, yeah, it supported online co-op, but there was no matchmaking for the campaign co-op, which that was kind of a bummer to me, because, you know, campaign co-op was one of the things that I really loved about Halo 1 and Halo 2. I mean, it was a great way to play the game with your friends. And, you know, with Xbox Live and online gaming becoming a standard, it didn't have any kind of matchmaking for that. So that was kind of strange. I mean, you could have a friend in your friends list, and you can send out an invite, but, you know, there's no way to, if none of your friends were online wanting to play, you were kind of SOL. So, but hey, I mean, at least it was a feature that they added, so it was an upgrade, still wasn't a downgrade. Of course, the cool thing about the Halo 3 campaign is it starts off kind of like in the forest. It shows off the nice environments and everything. You're starting on Earth. You're not starting in a ship or anything like that. So a lot of anticipation for the story in Halo 3, because Halo 2 ended on that cliffhanger. And of course, you know, Halo 2 only played just a little bit on Earth, and then eventually went to another Halo. So even though people can appreciate it a little better now, it let's see, we'll grab an ally's weapon here. There we go. I mean, there was definitely some anticipation for Halo 2 gameplay on Earth to explore kind of the Halo 2 or the Halo universe a little more, which of course by this time books and comic books and stuff were coming out to kind of give a overall introduction. Oh, and then there's that that Halo not a fan film, but it was like a Halo promo video that came out. Of course, the Needler was not a dual wielding weapon in Halo 3. They kind of restored it back to how it was in Halo 1. Here's another cool thing about the physics. I love the water physics in this game. You know, like bodies floating on the water, just like little wave particle effects, things like that with the water. Halo 3 had some really cool water physics for its time. There we go. But eventually, the game goes off to another Covenant facility. You go to the, or not a Covenant facility, the Forerunner facility. So instead of finding another Halo, you find the thing that basically built the Halos. So when talking about the weapons earlier, one of the major downgrades for me was only holding 2 grenades for each game type. I thought that was just the stupidest thing. And they introduced spike grenades, which was they were basically the equivalent of brute grenades. But you know, you're instead of holding a maximum of 8 grenades, you know, 4 frag grenades, 4 I'm getting lost here. 4 frag grenades, 4 plasma grenades. You're holding 2 frag grenades, 2 plasma grenades, 2 spike grenades, which, you know, it's basically another form of sticky grenades. The idea behind it was you could throw a spike grenade in a room, and the spikes would bounce off the walls and ricochets and hit your opponents. But I didn't find like the ricochet to be too effective. So of course, for those who haven't played the story, you probably should say spoiler alert. Probably go through and just play this first before watching this. But this was the first Halo where Master Chief did not have Cortana with him. You had to acquire Cortana around halfway through the game. You basically had to rescue her because you left her on the Covenant ship at the end of that campaign. So let's do some sniping here. So they definitely toned down the auto aim for Halo 3 compared to Halo 2. So there's definitely Halo 3 was a little more of a difficult game to play, required a little more skill, where Halo 2 was a little more noob friendly. Probably why that old montage multiplayer video I did on my last video where I was playing so good. But I suppose I should get into the multiplayer a little bit. But another thing I want to talk about before I do was the physics and the grenades. You know, one of my complaints with Halo 2 was like the grenades and oh, can I get him? Crap, didn't get him. The physics of the grenades and rockets and just things that explode in general. Where Halo 3 kind of went back to what Halo 2 did. Like, you know, if you're driving... Ooh, try to no-scope him. Can I get him? Yeah, there we go. Like if a Warthog's driving by and you throw a grenade down, it'll tip over the Warthog. Not like it did in Halo 2, but you know, it's still effective towards vehicles. So I'm first playing through, see, take allies weapon. There we go. Nope. Oh, there we go. So when I'm first playing like the Halo 3 beta, it felt like this perfect blend of Halo 1 and Halo 2, with the exception of the grenade count, of course. So here, to show off the equipment here, got a flare. Kind of blind your opponents. Crap, I need cover. Oops, I died. Did I get a recent checkpoint, or did I start back on the hill? Nope, recent checkpoint. Okay. Let's see, can I sneak down here? Yeah, here we go. Been a while since I played the Halo 3 campaign. And of course I got the original Halo 3 version in the bottom corner there, like in my previous videos. Well, there's only two versions of Halo 3 really. 360 version and the Master Chief Collection. 360 version, of course, playing at 30 frames per second. Master Chief Collection, of course, playing at full 1080p, 60 frames per second. Now plays at 4K on the Xbox One. In fact, before they patched the Master Chief Collection, they actually upgraded Halo 3 for the Xbox One with 4K support, even though it was only 30 frames per second. So you almost had a resurgence of Halo 3 online, since all 360 games you can still play online. So that was kind of neat. So let's throw our flare there. Blind that dude. But yeah, let's get into the multiplayer a little bit. So let's see, hold X to deactivate that. There we go. Freed Sarge. So the multiplayer, when the game came out, of course, I was I had the expectations of what I played in the beta. So of course the first couple of matches was like, alright, this is really good, because I played the beta like literally until they shut it off just after midnight. And so I was expecting a lot, because like, okay, if there's these 3 maps and this is what's in the game, and this is just the beta, then the full version should have a whole bunch more. And yeah, they added more maps and stuff, but after a couple of days of playing it, I found myself disappointed. Because for me, it was like, well, wait a minute, is this all there is? There's really not that much more than what we found in the beta, with the exception of some additional maps. And there's a couple balance changes here and there, but for the most part, I didn't care too much for the multiplayer. I mean, I still played it. I still played it with friends. You know, a lot of my friends that we played Halo 2 with, you know, we played Halo 3. And that was about until Call of Duty games started coming out. You know, because by this time, the first Modern Warfare was coming out a year later and whatnot. Which I didn't play. I didn't start playing that until Modern Warfare 2. But I found myself going back to Halo 2, either on the console or the PC version. So I basically play Halo 2 unless my friends were online, then I hop on Halo 3, then I go back to Halo 2. Which, of course, then there was that problem with... so I love how the pieces are floating on the water. That's so cool. But, of course, then there's that problem with reloading with the X button, which, thankfully, you can adjust on the Master Chief Collection. But that's another cool thing about playing it on the... Playing the 360 version on the Xbox One is, I'm going to pause this and kind of show that off real quick, is you can go to your settings and see if we can find it real quick. Go to devices and accessories, and you can actually remap the buttons here. Oh, they changed the interface a little bit. That made it a little harder to do now. Let's see. So somewhere in here, they made it a little bit different, but you can actually remap your buttons. So if you want X to reload, you can swap out the functions of X in the bumper. So if you're playing the 360 version of Halo 3, you can still reload with the X button. So here we are. We're at the end of the first stage in Halo 3. Let's see how I am on the original version. Watch in the corner here. Looks like I am almost dead even with myself. Almost like I'm racing against my previous game.
IFF confirmed. Contact is Pelican dropship, Kilo 2-3, over.
Almost like a Star Wars New Hope Battle of Yavin vibe here. Gonna go to the hidden rebel base. But yeah, I mean, Halo 3 multiplayer,
Sorry for the tight squeeze. Tell the commander.
I was trying to save all the multiplayer talk for when I show off the multiplayer gameplay, but I kind of want to go over a lot of it now just so I don't forget to talk about anything.
Check it out. No way.
One thing,
For real.
that's gruesome. Guy with the missing eyes now, just from fighting in war and whatnot. But
It's good to see you, Chief.
Likewise, ma'am.
another thing that felt like a downgrade, because by this time, party support and party matchmaking, party chats, all that kind of stuff, that was built into the consoles. So there wasn't a reason to build that into Halo 3. But when you're playing Halo 3 as opposed to playing Halo 2 in the console, they didn't have the proximity chat when you're talking through the headset. You know, like, you know, if you're talking through the headset, your nearby team members can hear you, or things like that, or nearby opponents even. One story I forgot to share in the last video was I was working graveyard shifts at the time when I was playing a lot of Halo 2 before Halo 3 came out, before I moved back to my hometown. And one of my roommates, his girlfriend was visiting from out of town, and she was in his bedroom sleeping. I didn't realize she was visiting. And we were playing a match, and it was on lockout, if I remember correctly. And we were walking by one guy that didn't seem to really be playing, just kind of staying in the corner. But every time we'd walk by, we'd hear him snoring, like he basically fell asleep while playing. So pretty soon his teammates are walking up to him and yelling at him to wake up. And of course, all of us, who are going around, shooting that team, notice, why are they all staying in the corner? So, we all walk up to the corner and we hear the guy snoring, and we hear his teammates yelling to the mics to wake up. So pretty much everyone on both teams start yelling at their headsets to tell this guy to wake up. So finally, all of us are just screaming in their headsets, including myself, and I'm just screaming, "Wake up! Wake up!" And come to find out, the next day when I woke up to, it was on my lunch break, so of course, I got done playing, went back to work. The next day I woke up, made myself a sandwich for breakfast before going to work, and my roommate walks down the stairs and he goes, "Dude, were you playing Halo last night and screaming at someone to wake up?" And I'm telling him the story, and he starts laughing. His girlfriend walks down, his girlfriend at the time walks down the stairs, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And they kind of look at each other and laugh and go, "Yeah, she was sleeping, and your yelling woke her up, and she hid under the bed because she thought someone had broken into the house."
Give the order. We're closing shop.
So no one called the police or anything, but it was kind of funny.
We're getting all of them out.
Have to carry him myself. Ma'am, squad leaders are requesting a rally point. Where should they go?
To war.
So yeah, talking about a little more of the Halo 3 campaign, or no, I'm sorry, the Halo 3 multiplayer.
We're not receiving. Can't tell.
What else can we talk about with that? So yeah, we talked about the proximity chat. DLC. Yeah, Halo 3 had good DLC maps, but horrible implementation of DLC. In fact, Halo 3 is probably my reason why I'm burned out on DLC. I don't buy a lot of I don't buy a lot of DLC in general because of Halo 3. Halo 2 DLC did well, and I understand, DLC has to make money. I'm not against DLC. I'm not against microtransactions or anything like that. I'm against it when they implement it poorly, but you look at the retail cost of a game, from even the late 90s compared to today, adjusted for inflation, adjusted for, how much development costs go into making a video game. They got to make their money on the video game, but people are still under the mindset, and rightfully so, that $60 is a regular price for a game. So if you're going to sell a game for full price, it's got to have a full price value. I mean, that's pretty much my issues with games with DLC. Not to get off topic too much, but like Star Wars Battlefront 4, the remake. I refuse to call it Battlefront 2, but Battlefront 4, had all these microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff like that. But to me, the problem wasn't necessarily that. It was people paying full price for the game and not offering a value for the price that they paid. But back to the Halo 3's DLC, Halo 2 DLC, you're basically paying a couple bucks for a couple maps, and then you had like the disc for $20 that included all the maps. So you felt like you got your money's worth. Halo 3, it was basically $10 for each map pack, which included 3 maps. Which is like, okay, they kind of raised the price of it. So at first it's like, are they going to re-release these later for free, or are they going to release them on disc? Because Halo 2 map packs, they originally cost something, then after a couple months they were free. And then if you wanted to wait, you could buy the disc. Well, Halo 3, they didn't really do that. So, I think this is where an upcoming Easter egg is. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of put that story on pause. I want to show something off real quick here. I'm gonna turn the game volume up just a little bit.
Password, please. You gotta be kidding me. What password?
The password so we don't open the door for brutes.
Do I sound like a brute to you?
Well, you could be held prisoner by brutes.
If I was held prisoner by brutes and knew the password, then the brutes could just force me to tell you the password and you'd open the door for them.
Okay, well now I'm definitely not gonna open the door.
But we need ammo!
Well, why don't you go ask your brute buddies then?
So that conversation actually changes depending on what difficulty you play. But yeah, those are a couple of cast members from the web series Red vs. Blue. So it's kind of a nice little Easter egg there. So, like that was Doc and if I remember, I'm trying to remember the names of the characters. I haven't watched Red vs. Blue in a while. Doc, I think it was Doc and Tucker. But of course, then there's like a Griffin Simmons who play on another difficulty, and then Church and Tucker. God, I forget the characters. Let's go back and watch it. But yeah, it's basically a different conversation every time, so it's kind of a cool little nod. Cool nod to Red vs. Blue. Of course, Halo 4 I thought had the best nod to Red vs. Blue. But yeah, back to the multiplayer DLC. You know, each DLC pack was $10 for 3 maps, which then it's like you're like, well, I don't want to pay $10 for 3 maps. I want to see if if the maps are going to be available on disc later, or if they're going to re-release them for free. And then after waiting, they eventually didn't. So like, I'll break down and I'll buy the first map. And of course, you're playing matchmaking, and there's 3 maps, but matchmaking primarily focuses on one of the 3 DLC maps. So you're basically paying DLC for 1 map in a sense. So that was kind of a letdown. And then of course, the maps eventually become required for some of the playlists, and then your friends buy the maps, and they get upset because you don't have the DLC, so you can't play the same matchmaking. It's like, all right, I guess I'll buy the DLC. And then another round of DLC comes out, and it's like, and you go through the whole thing over again. And all of a sudden they add a cool map, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that map looks kind of cool. It's a remake of Lockout, or it's a remake of Midship. Yeah, I guess after about a month, I'll break down and I'll buy the map pack. And then matchmaking only focuses on one of those maps, and you're like, oh, okay, kind of regret buying it. And then all of a sudden they have another map pack, and it's like, oh, well, they added this really cool forgeable map like Sandbox. I'm like, well, that's actually kind of cool. And then of course the same thing happens. So you buy a couple of map packs, and then all of a sudden they release the last DLC map pack, and it's like, all right, that's it, not buying it. And then all of a sudden Halo 3 ODST comes out, and it has Halo 3 multiplayer on it with all of the DLC. So I bought all the DLC, and of course it came out physically on disc, which is what I originally wanted. So yeah, kind of felt burned a little bit. But, oh well. It was what it was. But now, because of that, because of how they did that, I didn't buy any Halo 4 DLC. I didn't buy any Halo Reach DLC. But I really like what they did with Halo 5. They basically made the Halo 5 DLC all free, but it had the microtransactions for that Big Team Battle Mode. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. And that basically funded the DLC. So I thought that was actually well done. That's actually one of my only compliments on Halo 5. A lot of people hated like the loot system, but I actually liked it just because it made the DLC free. Which of course now Master Chief Collection, all the DLC is free. And I believe all the DLC for Halo Reach is now free as well. So you can actually just go through and just download it, and there's no price to it. Oops, gotta go this way. So there's another thing I forgot to talk about earlier is turrets. Yeah, you can hold like big turrets and things like that. They brought back the flamethrower from the PC version of Halo 1 as like a turret. You move slower, but it's basically a more powerful weapon. So that's kind of a nice little cool thing they added to Halo 3. I don't want to give up the turret. It's a powerful turret.
Anyone in the barracks? I need a sit rep now.
Sir, this way.
I think I'm going the right way. Oh yeah, definitely going the right way.
Line him up. Line him up.
I hate fighting the bugs in the Halo series, but that's a cool moment. I like that. Sit back, let my shields recharge. So yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, I mean, by this time, the Call of Duties were coming out. You had Perfect Dark Zero out. You know, Perfect Dark Zero sucks. But you had a lot more FPS games and even third-person games, which was starting to utilize a lot of the standardized gameplay elements that the Halo series popularized. You know, like holding two weapons, throwing a grenade with a different button, things like that. So Halo was starting to get some competition by this time, which, you know, it was still popular. It was still on top. Now you guys come out. Thanks for the help.
If I try to hook up a timer, it might go off all by itself.
Johnson. You might want to put that out. Chief, have a look. A little going away gift for the Covenant. We've linked it to smaller charges throughout the base.
I like how the monitors,
As soon as the evacuation is
the flat screen monitors, have a scan line look to them.
good luck, everyone. See you on the line.
Follow me, Chief.
So yeah, of course, in this version, there's no bouncing back and forth between Covenant gameplay and this gameplay. You know, you basically have the Arbiter with you the whole time. And if you're playing 4-player, or if you're playing 2-player co-op, one of you is playing the Master Chief, the other one's playing the Arbiter. And if you have 4-player co-op, then you have other 2 players playing more elites. So yeah, I forgot what I'm supposed to be doing. Shows how much I'm paying attention to this story. I think I'm supposed to be going up this way. There we go. Grab a shotgun. It's been a while since I played the campaign. The footage I recorded in the bottom corner, I actually recorded a few months ago. It was before the Master Chief update. Shotgun has a little more power, like it did in the first Halo. Not quite like it did in the first Halo, but it's better than Halo 2. Nice little gravity boost here. So the turrets, as long as you keep the turrets mounted, you have infinite ammo. But the second you unmount them and you detach them, then your ammo becomes limited. And that works for multiplayer matchmaking as well. Let's see, which way do we go? This way. So, of course, a lot of people were wanting a PC port of Halo 3 because you had Halo 1 and Halo 2 brought to the PC, but not Halo 3. Because Halo 2 was kind of a failure on PC, but then again, it required Windows Vista, so you basically alienated about 80% of the PC audience. So, which eventually came out, but it was only available in Russia. It actually came out after Halo 4, implemented a lot of Halo 4 elements. And like in a previous gameplay video I did it right before the game was deactivated. So modders had modified the game and released it online so anyone can play it, but then Microsoft sent out that cease and desist. So Halo 3 on the PC with the ElDewrito mod is no longer available. So, but like I said earlier, hopefully they'll release Master Chief Collection on the PC, preferably with cross-platform play. That way you got some more people playing in matchmaking. And yeah, people with mouse and keyboard are going to have an advantage in aiming, but you know, the auto aim will hopefully balance that out. Because it's better to play with someone than no one, in my opinion. And they can have separate playlists. They can have like console only and PC only if they wanted to. You gotta stop walking in front of me. The Marine, the Ally AI is almost as bad in this one as it is in the other Halos. Even though the AI for the enemies is really good. I mean, really wasn't that much to upgrade in this one compared to the original Halos, because it's still really good. Toilets. I always find toilets in video games funny. And ladders. I don't know if Halo games have ladders anymore. They replace them with like the man cannons and stuff. That's another thing I want to talk about was, you know, a lot of the multiplayer maps having man cannons, not just as a replacement as ladders, but just to launch you across the map. And some maps it's cool. It's a cool little element they added. But at the same time, like I said, with, you know, copying Gears of War with the pressing the bumper to reload, it also kind of took the man cannon, at least I feel they did. They kind of took it from like that Quake style gameplay, like Quake and Unreal tournaments and whatnot. And I didn't think it worked in Halo too much. I mean, it's still fun. It's still good on custom maps, but I like the use of teleporters instead. I mean, I like Blood Gulch having to go through the teleporter over maps where you use a man cannon instead. Or at the very least, it should have like a variant of with no man cannon and a teleporter instead. But I don't know, that's just me. I'm probably in the minority over that one. Ooh. Threw an EMP, so I gotta stay back. So a lot of weapons kind of got some balance changes in this. Like, you know, I mentioned the shotgun a little more powerful earlier. Battle rifle, to me, feels a little weaker, but it's not too bad. I don't know if they nerfed it in the final version compared to the beta, because it seems like it was more powerful in the beta. But that could just be in my head. But like, if you dual wield a plasma rifle that the Arbiter has right there and a submachine gun, I noticed you can take out people a lot faster in this than you can in Halo 2. They kind of took away the Magnum from Halo 2 and they replaced it with the pistol from Halo 1, kind of. It doesn't kill with 3 shots to the head, but it still does some pretty good damage. Rate of fire is slower, it doesn't hold a lot of weapons, and it doesn't zoom, but it still has the look of Halo 1. So it's kind of a nice little nod. And of course, you know, you have the return of the assault rifle, and as you play through the campaign and you go back onto a Halo, it kind of has that Halo 1 vibe to it, so that's kind of cool. So I like that. Oh, did I close that too early? Who cares? Of course, this game ended on a cliffhanger, which, you know, 3 years after this game came out, they went to Halo Reach, which was a prequel. And then after that, you finally had Halo 4. So the cliffhanger was left open for, you know, basically 6 years. Because Halo Reach was basically Bungie's Halo 4, but it wasn't the Halo 4. But eventually, people still played Halo 2 until the Xbox servers shut down. But yeah, once the Xbox servers shut down, allergies are kicking my butt right now. So if I'm a little sniffly, it's because of my allergies. I think I forgot to take allergy medicine this morning. But yeah, once the original Xbox server shut down, that left you with Halo 3 and Halo 2 on the PC, which of course Halo 2 on the PC still being broken and still not that playable, and not a lot of people playing it. I mean, Halo 3 was pretty much your only option. But then again, you had, of course, new challengers. You had Call of Duty coming out and whatnot. Wrecking with a shotgun. And I mentioned ODST a little bit. That was basically its own campaign, but it included the Halo 3 multiplayer with all the map packs, which I'm going to get to that in a separate ODST video. So I'm trying to mainly focus on Halo 3 with this one. But they're a little intertwined. I mean, Halo ODST was originally planned to be an expansion to Halo 3, but the campaign ended up to be its own standalone game. But since it didn't have a competitive multiplayer component, with the exception of Firefight, they included the Halo 3 multiplayer on a separate disc. So it, ooh, swap for cloaking. Oops. So basically that way they could still sell it for a full $60 price tag. And I think if they would have sold it for like a $40 price tag or $30 price tag and not had the content on disc, I don't think I would be as burned on DLC as I was. I mean, now you can buy those games for like $5 a piece. I think I bought them for $3 at GameStop during a sale, just so I'd have the whole collection. Can I go? Let's see which way. Which way do we go? I forget. Did I have it correct? This is the hard part when doing commentary and playing at the same time, is it's easier for me to get lost. See, did I open a hatch up here? I thought I did. Oh, I think there's a marker there telling me where to go. Okay, yeah. I don't want to jump off there. The Halo 1 campaign I can pretty much play blindfolded at this point. This one, not so much. Oh, okay, yeah, so we do go that way. Of course, Cortana, I'm still kind of haunting you a little bit. Giving you some kind of teaser that maybe she's going nuts or something. What's up? Oh, that was right in the head. That should have killed him. Of course, the music in this one just as fantastic as the previous Halos. I mean, the composer outdid himself with every future game that came out. Let's sneak in. We've got that cloak here. Let's see, how was I doing in the previous game? I'm kind of in the same area. Oh, 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 back up, back up, back up, back up. There we go. Those health gens are annoying. I don't know if I can shoot them or not. Guess not. There, regenerate from that. Oh, so that guy's got a fuel rod gun. Oh, crap. There we go. I'll take that gun. Thank you. Let's see.
That did it, Chief. Bomb's armed.
We got your exit. A service elevator in the hangar. Head downstairs, cut through the caves.
Find the elevator in the hangar. Has a Super Metroid feel to it, kind of. Escape before the place blows up.
There will be a great deal of hardship on the road ahead.
Oh, that was a good grenade. Of course, there's no running yet at the time, you know, because they didn't add running until Halo Reach. Which is good. Halo should stick to its roots. Like you had Counter-Strike Go come out, and that really stuck to its Counter-Strike roots. There's no reason for it to try and do something they didn't need to do. Am I supposed to go down? No. Oh, this way.
You will become the best we can make you.
Let's see, I'm good on ammo.
There isn't much time, Chief. Find that elevator.
see, this way. So hit the elevator. And hopefully this will take me down to the part where I start driving the Warthog.
This place will become your home.
And yeah, that's the end of the stage. So now we're on to the next stage here.
This place will become your tomb.
And we'll play a little bit of the next stage before we do some multiplayer gameplay here.
What happened?
Chief, please respond. What is your status? Over. If you can hear me, find transport. Head to the town of
And lead Marines away because they are incapable of being led themselves. Grab the shotgun.
You can walk? Set your boots on the line. Chief's got the right idea. Let's mount up. Get the hell out of these caves.
Need a gunner. Come on. Yeah. Again, this is probably like my favorite thing to do in Halo. Just drive around with a Warthog. In fact, since I'm playing Master Chief Collection, I think what I'll do, if I can remember what chapter it is. And if I made a video for it, I'm pretty sure I did. So, select mission. Oh, not Halo Anniversary. Halo 3 missions. I believe it's right here. Rally Point Charlie. We'll kind of show off a little bit of the campaign later on real quick before I pop in some multiplayer. Because a cool thing about Halo 3 is it introduced Hornets. So you had more air units other than just Banshees. So that was kind of cool. So here we are. We got a tank, we got a Warthog. I'm going to drive the Warthog. NPCs are going to drive the tank. That's kind of cool. A lot of stuff happening. Of course, there's a couple spots in the game where scarabs come up, and you gotta take out the scarabs. Take out their leg. Basically, you take out their legs so you can board the scarab, and then you take out the center part of the scarab, and then just blow the damn thing up. Pretty cool explosion effect too. Just wreck into them. And of course, they added a couple Covenant or a couple of Brute vehicles as well, like the Brute Chopper, that big wheeler thing. And of course, you got this Brute sled-looking thing. I don't forget what it's called. Of course, Gauss Cannon wrecking house here. And hopefully the tank is still behind me. And they added they changed the turrets on the tank a little bit as well. You can basically, like, another player can get into the turret and aim in a different direction that the tank is moving and facing. So yeah, here we are. 2 Scarabs. Yeah. See, to me, this was always like... This is always what felt like Halo to me. I mean, this is what was most impressive. Oh, here comes another Warthog. Almost like you felt like you're in the middle of a small real-time strategy game. Kind of like Halo Wars. And yes, we are absolutely going to get into Halo Wars. If you ever look at my channel history, you'll see just a lot of gameplay stuff of Halo Wars. You know, before I started doing like Let's Plays and commentary on this channel. And I don't see the tank. Looks like the tank didn't make it. So Gunner's taking out the legs. So that Scarab is weak. He's not shooting at the right spot. Oh, that guy's stuck. That's not good. Alright, let's do this. You get out. And we're going to take this Ghost. Is it still drivable? Oh yeah, still drivable. There we go, that's what we wanted. Expose that. And that is how you take out a Scarab. Alright, let's get to some multiplayer now. So now we're going to get into some Halo 3 multiplayer here. Of course, we're playing on the Master Chief Collection. Bottom corner video, I was recording that using the original version of Halo 3, and that was right before the Master Chief Collection patch went live. So it was still easy to find, or not easy, but you were still able to find a Halo 3 map or match on the original version of Halo 3. But now with the Master Chief Collection fixed, it's a little harder to find a match on that version. But Master Chief Collection, you can still find a match, but you know, now that it's fixed. But I mean, that kind of highlights a problem which I touched up on the last video. Is you got Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo Master Chief Collection, Halo Reach, Halo 5. I mean, you got so many Halos you can play online that you have the community divided, which, you know, kind of shows that maybe they were onto something when they came out that Halo 1 Anniversary Edition. Unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, game on Master Chief Collection plays at a solid 60 frames per second. 360 version still plays a standard 30 FPS, but it is 4K compatible on the Xbox One X. So, I mean, both versions now are 4K compatible, but both good games. Graphics still hold up, even though it doesn't use like all the fancy lighting and things like that. The graphics are still good. I mean, they still hold up. But a lot of the weapon balance changes I mentioned earlier, they definitely made the sword weaker. I mean, it's still a one-hit kill, but when you switch to your sword, you kind of have like this little pulling it out posing delay before you can attack someone with it. But you know, the sword was pretty overpowered in Halo 2, although it was a lot of fun. Which it is just as powerful in Halo 2 Anniversary. But Halo 3 is actually the multiplayer Halo that I enjoy the least. But when it was out and when it was prominent, I would still go back to it from time to time. But like I mentioned earlier with the Halo DLC, oh, I am the only one on a team. My teammates left me. But like I mentioned with like my burnout of the DLC, at this time I ended up getting rid of my 360 at the time because also I had went through 3 broken Xbox 360s at the time, you know, because those systems weren't exactly known for being reliable. Ended up trading the one I had in that got fixed for a PlayStation 3, which, you know, they were still backwards compatible with PS2 at the time. And I ended up getting Metal Gear Solid 4 because that had just come out. And then whenever I wanted my Halo fix, I would just, you know, play Halo 2 on the original Xbox. And then, of course, they dropped the server support. I am actually doing okay. You know, for playing by myself, I'm doing all right. So, but then when they dropped the original Xbox game support on Xbox Live, you know, I picked up another 360, and by this time Halo Wars had come out, and I wanted to play Halo Wars. But yeah, I mean, I would go back to Halo 3 from time to time, and still play it, and still an enjoyable game. But for us, a lot of the Halo magic was kind of gone. Or at least it just wasn't as fulfilling for us, even though the game was good. And it's not like Halo was on decline or anything like that. I mean, it was still on top. Ah, dang, I was hoping I would at least stick him. I wonder what the score goes up to. But another thing that Halo 3 added is, in matchmaking, was voting. So if, oh, dang, got me with the shotgun. But like, if it picked a map and people didn't want to play the map, you can actually do like a veto vote and skip that map and play something different. Problem with that was when you have a lobby of a bunch of people and a bunch of kids playing, you have about 7 or 8 kids just screaming in the mic, veto, 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 which gets annoying really, really fast. So see if it'll put us in another match here right away. Hopefully one where the teammates won't quit. Of course, they updated Master Chief Collection to where Halo 3 has its own dedicated Big Team Battle playlist, which is good because before, when you would pick Big Team Battle and people would vote on the map, because you would vote on 3 different maps, almost always people were picking Halo 3. So Halo 3 was just getting outvoted every time. So it's good that they did that. Oh, same map. Heretic, which is a remake of Midship from Halo 2, which is it's a faithful remake. So they did good with that. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I already talked about, oh, that was dumb. Is it Slayer? Yeah, it's Slayer. Looks like Caboose throwing a grenade right there. Of course, they nerf the plasma pistol. I mean, it has this EMP ability, so if it hits a vehicle, it'll shut down the vehicle, but it doesn't home in on the character a little bit. I've actually gotten a little lucky with those last 2 hits. But if you watch the energy, it'll actually decrease as you're holding it down. But it doesn't home in on the enemy as easily as it did in Halo 2. Yeah, see, there we go. Halo 2, that would have hit him. Yeah, we got a game here. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier, game runs at a nice full 60 frames per second on the Master Chief Collection. Standard version ran at 30. And of course, it ran at sub 720p. It actually ran it at 660p resolution, unless you're playing on Xbox One or Xbox One X. But, I mean, the graphics were still good, and of course, they still hold up. Definitely the art style and that kind of thing. But still not a fan of only holding 2 grenades of each game type. Because you got 2 frag grenades, but you also got 2 stickies and 2 spike grenades. But you're only limited to 2 frag grenades. There's also a napalm grenade, but you rarely see it in multiplayer. Which is just, it's another form of a sticky grenade. It's basically like a proximity grenade, but you can also stick your opponent with it. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of the grenade change. It just felt like something shoehorned in. Like, oh, we need an idea for something new. Okay, we'll just do this. I mean, Bungie was trying to keep the game fresh. But the core gameplay was still good, of course. Which is why the game was a huge success. I mean, you know, Bungie was acquired by Microsoft to make Halo. And pretty much make only Halo. And by this time, they probably want to make other things, whether it was Destiny or whatnot. But they're kind of forced to keep making Halo. And of course, you got the key people involved with the company. Which, you know, before Halo, they were making Oni and I think Myst, if I remember correctly. So they're basically making Halo because they kind of had to. And that's an easy way to get burnt out. Let's see. So this is a good combination here in Halo 3. More so in Halo 3 than Halo 2. Oh, he got me with a grenade, though. Got his energy down pretty good, though. Like, you got the plasma submachine gun. I mean, it's a plasma rifle, but it's not much of a rifle. Takes down the shields pretty quickly. And then, of course, the submachine gun takes out their health pretty quickly. That was another thing that I forgot to touch up on in Halo 2, which also applies to Halo 3, is Halo 1 had health packs. You know, because once your shields would deplete, you would have health. Halo 2 and Halo 3 didn't really have health. So, it was just like, your health was there. So, once your shields go back up, your health is restored, essentially. And I miss the health packs. I like health packs. I thought it was better that way, to be honest. Oh, blue spider in the face. Now he's gonna come back with pink armor. Of course, the explosion animations look much, much cooler. And even if the grenades and rockets don't do as much damage as they did in Halo 1 as opposed to Halo 2, the explosion lighting effects and stuff like that kind of give you that impression that, you know, they're still powerful weapons. So it kind of gets you more into the action a little bit better. Oh, right between the legs. I still got him. So yeah, even though Halo 3 was my least favorite online Halo at the time, which now that goes to Halo 5, it was still something I was looking forward to playing on Master Chief Collection, mainly because of that press the right bumper to reload. I could assign it to X. So I was able to play Halo 3 and have it feel more like playing Halo 2. I'm doing good with the stickies. But yeah, I know it's not a popular viewpoint. I think a lot of people look at Halo 3 as the best of the classic Halos. But unfortunately I don't, and that's okay. It's just personal preference. Not saying it's a bad game at all. It's a great game. It's kind of funny because every Halo that came out after the first one, I liked a little less and a little less. For me, it was almost like the opposite of Halo 2. Like, Halo 2 came out, I was disappointed with the campaign, but the more I played Halo 2, the more I played the multiplayer, the more it grew on me, and the more I liked it. Where Halo 3, you know, I liked the campaign a lot, but the more I played the multiplayer, the more I got into it, the more I was disappointed. I wanted it to be better. I think the beta kind of raised my expectations a little high. But yeah, I mean, that's Halo 3. If you've never played Halo 3 and you've played the other Halos, give the game a shot. You might like it more. Let me know what you think about Halo 3. Is it your favorite of the Halos? Do you like it better than the other Halos? Do you like Halo 2 better? Do you like Halo 4 or Halo 5 better? If you're like me, do you like the first Halo better? If you hate my viewpoint even, please leave a comment down below. And I will see you guys next for part 4, which is Halo Reach. Oh no, it's not Halo Reach. There is one game that came out after this, but before Halo Reach, and that is Halo Wars. I'm excited to do the Halo Wars video. See you guys next time.